Thumbcoast TV and WGRT bring you St. Clair County at the Mackinac Policy Conference. Sponsored by the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, Michigan Mutual, and Eastern Michigan Bank.
Hi, I'm Michael Hensley with Thumbcoast TV. We're here at the Mackinac Policy Conference on Mackinac Island. With me is Vincent Frillici. He's the policy lead for the Great Lakes area for Airbnb. Vincent, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
We really appreciate you coming on. You and I were talking a little bit earlier, and you had some really interesting statistics about the economic impact that Airbnb provides for the state of Michigan.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk about it. We did an economic study on our Airbnb guests and hosts in 2024, and what we found is over 2.1 million people stayed at an Airbnb last year in Michigan, and over half of them are Michiganders staying with Michiganders. And that is contributing to a total of about $1.3 billion in Michigan's GDP.
Wow, those are some really big numbers. And from the travel bureau perspective, we see that often is we have a lot of intrastate travel within the state. So folks from different areas of Michigan are coming to stay on the Thumb Coast, or folks from the Thumb Coast are staying elsewhere in Michigan. There is a cool opportunity that Airbnb provides when it comes to agritourism. Can you touch a little bit about that and how maybe it could relate directly to some of these areas that, have a great travel product, but have a dispersed hotel situation?
Well, part of our economic study we found was that over 40% of the Airbnb guests in Michigan last year told us that they stayed somewhere that they never would have stayed if there wasn't an Airbnb.
Okay.
So what Airbnb does best is disperses travel, like you said, away from the typical areas. When it comes to agritourism, we also found that we have now over 700 farmers who are sharing a part of their land as an Airbnb.
Wow.
And they tell us it's because sometimes the crop prices fluctuate, or they just want to create a second stream of income on their land.
Really? That's a very interesting perspective, and it all goes back to, folks of industry sharing that industry with other people, and I think Airbnb provides a great opportunity for that. One of the other things that I think is really interesting when it comes to what Airbnb provides is a little bit of a different landscape in terms of what folks may expect when they go to a hotel, right? Can you also talk a little bit about what it does, or what Airbnb does to folks in allowing them to create a second stream of income and being able to become hosts, and maybe what are you guys doing to alleviate some of the barriers that are constructed or that are there in becoming a Airbnb host?
What we have done is to try to make it as simple as possible to be a host. So if you are a guest of Airbnb and you've ever thought about doing it, you can just go in the app, and in your settings at the bottom it'll say, have you thought about hosting? Mm-hmm. And then it'll walk you through the steps that it takes to do it. What is really fascinating about Michigan's Airbnb host community is that over 80% of them have only one listing. What that means is that they're sharing their primary home or their vacation home.
Yeah.
And hosts in Michigan, the highest percentage of 60 and up hosts that I've seen anywhere in the Great Lakes region are here in Michigan. Over 25% of the hosts in Michigan are near senior or senior citizens. As far as barriers go, what we try to do is we try to work with communities, large and small, city councils, planning commissions, to explain a lot of what I'm explaining to you about what what is happening, and also the economic impact. The ability for someone to stay at an Airbnb, maybe on the far outskirts of Port Huron, means that they're going to probably shop in a little grocery store, or maybe go to a tiny restaurant that maybe isn't downtown, but they need the business, if not as much, if not more, than the folks in the downtown area.
Yeah, absolutely. And, our destination, Port Huron, the rest of the Thumb Coast, really thrives off of those small privately owned residential businesses, right? The owners are there often working the cash register. They're going to church with folks. They're, hanging out in the communities that the residents live in. So having that avenue to provide opportunity for people to shop local and buy local is really great, and I think Airbnb does a great job in providing that avenue.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Vincent, thank you so much for joining me here at the Policy Conference on Mackinac Island, and thank you for tuning in to Thumb Coast TV.
Thanks.
To hear more from this conversation, visit thumbcoast.tv.